60 players, 30 general managers, dozens of reporters, one NBA dream. The National Basketball Association's Combine being held right now in Chicago. Our Seth Davis was there getting the scoop from coaches, players, scouts, busboys, you name it, right? So, Seth, let's start with that coveted #1 overall pick. We know the lottery's coming up next week, but you're hearing there's still some debate as who's going to be #1 overall, Nerlens Noel or Ben McLemore.
Well, it seems that those are certainly the two candidates. Right now, I would say probably a 75–80% chance that it is Nerlens Noel. Of course, the big question with Noel is his physical health. He's going to be taking physicals from teams while he's in Chicago. He blew out his knee in that game against Florida, was lost for the season, and now there's some question as to where and when he's going to come back and be able to play again. And obviously this was a main topic of conversation at the Combine, and here's what he had to say when he was asked about the condition of his knee.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% confident, not just gaining what I have, but definitely having more, being more as stronger, coming back better. And I mean, through this period of time where I won't be playing basketball, I'll just be working on a lot of things that I needed to polish when I wasn't playing. So I think it's really going to help me in the long run.
So, Seth, there we hear Noel, confident, positive feelings as he goes into the NBA draft now. But there are some other guys that are moving up the draft board that you've noticed, starting with the SEC Player of the Year.
Yeah, you know, a guy named Kentavious CaldwellPope.
It's a mouthful.
Sophomore. It is a mouthful, a hyphenated mouthful. He was, as you mentioned, Ray, SEC Player of the Year, sophomore, 6'6" shooting guard from the University of Georgia. Very athletic, very good shooter, a little bit too passive at times, played on a bad team, which is why a lot of people don't know who he is. But in a draft that's considered pretty weak, especially at that position, he's a guy who was getting a lot of chatter at the Combine. I talked to one general manager whose team picks, let's say, in the later part of the first round. He said to me, I really like Pope, but I don't think he's going to be available when we're ready to pick. The other guy who I think may have really helped himself is Steven Adams. He's a 7-foot center from Pittsburgh, had a huge reputation coming into college. He's a native of New Zealand. I was actually at the camp in California where he dominated a lot of really good high school big men as a highly skilled 7-footer. Went to Pittsburgh, really didn't do much. Got on the court at the Combine, shot the ball well, showed that he has some skills. I think he's at least solidified his standing as a first-round prospect.
Another position I know that grabbed your attention, certainly watching the drills in the gym, was the point guard position. You had a chance to see the National Player of the Year in Trey Burke, but a guy that he faced in March that we didn't get to see a whole lot of during the season, he impressed you as well.
Well, that's Nate Walters, the 6'4" point guard from South Dakota State, and I emphasize his size because looking at the point guard drills during the Combine, these were little dudes. You know, they're like, I could see eye to eye with these guys. I really like them, but you know, Pierre Jackson from Baylor looked tiny. Peyton Sieve was a small guy. Isaiah Cannon from Murray State is considered a small point guard, but he actually looked pretty good, looked pretty big going against these other guys. Now, Trey Burke didn't compete because his agent told him not to. Michael Carter-Williams from Syracuse is a long 6'6" point guard. He would have looked like a giant out there, but I don't think you're going to get a lot of size at the point guard position, which is why a guy like Nate Walters at 6'4" could rise up some draft boards.
For the players, this has to be a gut-wrenching, nerve-wracking experience to be in front of all these GMs and head coaches and scouts at the Combine. So how much do these performances in this Combine actually affect a player's draft position on draft day?
As far as what happens out on the court, the answer is bupkis, okay? The scouts have been watching these guys all season long, multiple seasons. They're not going to make a decision because some guy had a bad shooting day or a good shooting day. And keep in mind that this Combine used to be 5-on-5, full court, all the top guys playing. Now they don't even want to play 5-on-5 anymore, so they're kind of individualized drills. What really, the action in Chicago, first of all, is on the sidelines with everybody talking to each other, and then back at the hotel downtown where these players were going through these interviews. And I was talking to these players and team executives all day. These are long days, back-to-back interviews. Some of these guys, by the time they leave Chicago, will be interviewed by basically half the league. So that's really the action in Chicago. What happens out on the court was basically a dog and pony show.
Yeah, we'll have to wait until June 27th to find all that out. All right, Seth, thanks very much for the insight. For more from the Combine, including interviews with the players, be watching CampusInsiders.com all day.